Oh my God, guys. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Breaking news. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm trying to set everything. I'm looking for this lawsuit. But where do I hear myself? I hear myself somewhere. Here it is. Okay, sorry about that. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Okay, so put a one in the chat if you started following me during the Diddy trial. Put a one in the chat. I want to make sure I understand, like, if people are aware why this is like kind of makes you wonder, like, what happened. We've always wanted to know what happened with Maurene Comey. People have speculated, this might have to do with her dad. But Maurene Comey was like a prosecutor for the Southern District of New York for like what 9 to 10 years. And she led the charge for some of the Epstein stuff. She led the charge for the Diddy trial. The Rico stuff totally went off the wall. It didn't work out, right? Like, it was not a case that she won, but they were moving forward. So then just today on the internet, it drops, and I'm trying to look for this lawsuit. So I had to go over there to the New York Times, as much as I don't like the New York Times, and I had to renew my membership for the New York Times so I could read the article. But they didn't link the lawsuit. So I'm looking for this lawsuit. So this is the breaking news, y'all. Fired prosecutor challenges Trump's claims to power in lawsuits. So the Justice Department gave no reason for its dismissal of Maurene Comey. So remember how like the rumor started. Maurene Comey got a letter. She was at the office, with her coworkers. She got this letter that basically said, "You're out, you're done." They had to get all of the prosecutors together and have a little meeting. And what was said was that she wasn't given a reason why she was let go. Like, just like that, basically. Of course, it's been speculated and rumored that it has to do with her father because, of father and Trump and all this other stuff from the back end and whatnot. People have said it was an unfair dismissal. Yes, they did. Now, I totally went live and I didn't even tell the people that I was live. Give me 1 second, y'all, because that is a must. I got to let the people know that I'm live, okay? Hold up. Thank you guys for hitting that like button. I do appreciate it. We live now. You said I started following you through Diddy. Glad I did. I totally appreciate you. Thank you for what you do. Aw, y'all are so beautiful and amazing. Thank you. That's a sweet comment. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, hold up, y'all, because I got to let the people in the Discord know that I'm live. Otherwise, I might get yelled at because I forget to tell people sometimes. Okay. People of the Discord, we live now. So this is definitely so we broke the news here on the internet. I think I was like one of the first channels to talk about the lawsuit, the firing of Comey. And so we were trying to figure out, well, what happened with Comey? Why was she let go? And so a lot of us concluded, well, it had to do with Trump, maybe some about her dad. The people don't get along. I don't know. The people will be the people, right? Especially up in those positions. So the Justice Department gave no reason for its dismissal of Maurene Comey, a longtime federal prosecutor in Manhattan and the daughter of the former FBI director, James Comey. Okay. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Maurene Comey always looks tired. And every picture, I try to pull like a picture where she didn't look too tired, but the lady looked like she worked a lot. 9 or 10 years, a 10-year veteran, was among the most highly regarded trial lawyers in Manhattan prosecutor's office. I remember Agnifilo gave a comment that he was kind of surprised that she was let go. And a lot of us concluded, well, did it have to do with the Diddy trial? What happened? So Maurene Comey, a federal prosecutor who handled criminal cases against Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, is contesting her abruptly July firing in a lawsuit that challenges Donald J. Trump's claim of sweeping presidential power. Remember, so she was given this letter that basically said, because I'm the president and the king of the world, bitch, you're fired. Like, literally, he pulled the you're fired, right? And I'm thinking of the reality show. Even though I'm not a fan of Trump, I used to be a fan of his reality show back in the day, but that's a side note. So Ms. Comey, whose father is James B. Comey, is a former FBI director, says in the lawsuit filed Monday that she was never given a reason for her dismissal. She was given a letter. She was told that the president wanted her out. She contends that no plausible explanation exists other than she is the daughter of one of the president's best known adversaries, or her perceived political affiliations. Miss Comey, huh? Okay, 2. Shake it. Yes. Ms. Comey is among many federal prosecutors and Justice Department officials who has been fired in President Trump's second term with no reason beyond Article 2 of the Constitution, which broadly describes the president's power, have some challenge. Some have challenged their dismissal before administrative judges. Others have sued in federal court. So Article 2, and we read Article 2, and I'm pretty sure BJ read it too, which is it's broadly describes the president's powers. Article 2 of the Constitution, which the president can basically call for somebody to be fired. Okay? You think it has to do with the Epstein files? Y'all, I'm telling you, it's got to do with something. Okay? And I'm over here searching the Pacer to figure out like what happened, like where's this lawsuit? We got to find this. We have to find this lawsuit, okay? We got to find it. Anyways, let's keep going. Okay. So it says that Article 2, which broadly describes the president's powers, some have challenged their dismissal before administrative judges. Others have sued in federal court. Ms. Comey's lawsuit filed in federal court in Manhattan names as defendants the Office of the President, the Justice Department, Attorney General Pam Bondi, and others, calls for her firing from the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York. Illegal. So she's saying that all these guys got together, they were calling for her to be fired, and it was illegal. All right, let's keep going. The politically motivated termination of Ms. Comey, okay, under Article 2 of the Constitution, upends bedrock principles of our democracy and justice system. The lawsuit says Assistant United States Attorney like Ms. Comey must do their job without fearing or favor any political party or perspective, guided solely by the law, the facts, and the pursuit of justice. Ms. Comey, a 10-year veteran who was among the most highly regarded trial lawyers in Manhattan prosecution's office, was fired as the White House sought to quell frustration from its base about its reluctance to release files related to Epstein. The disgrace, SO guy. Mr. Epstein killed Kate himself, even though we know a lot of us, and I still dispute that. I don't believe that's true. Mr. Epstein killed himself in federal jail, in a federal jail cell in 2019 while awaiting trial on an S trafficking charge. His associates, Miss Maxwell, was convicted of S trafficking of a minor and was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Okay, a brief memorandum informing Miss Comey of her termination gave no explanation for the firing, but cited Article 2 in the lawsuit. Miss Comey said that the U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, that name is like, this is the head guy, right? Jay Clayton was unable to provide her with a rationale. So Jay Clayton couldn't tell her why. Like, she was just given a letter, but Jay Clayton couldn't say to her, like, why is it that you were... She wasn't given an excuse. She wasn't even given a reason as to why she was like, oh, no. Hold up, y'all. She wasn't given a reason. You said, I think he lives in a private Caribbean island. Oh, you think Epstein is still alive? I don't think he did it to himself. That's my thought on that, if that makes sense. Anything to hide the files? I don't know, man. You said, but what if it's in no will or at fault state? They can fire without cause, but this is definitely sus. Well, Lacey, it's a little bit different. See, I am from an at will state, right? So, and I work for government, okay, for city and county, and there, if I, the way it works is, I could there's a trial and an actual thing that happens within the city and county that allows me to challenge all of that. So I can go in front of a board, I can go outside of that, I can hire an attorney and actually fight it, and even say why I was wrongfully terminated. So even though that's like might be the case, that there are these individuals there, it's not always you can still fight that termination. I've seen people be very successful. I've seen wrongful terminations in government, and more than once. Hey, AMK, I haven't seen you in a minute. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for renewing your membership. Shout out to AMK. Give me 1 second, y'all. I got to get a little egg. Y'all know what that means, an egg. 1 sec. Okay, so I got her egg. Hey everybody. Okay, so let's keep going with this article. So, a brief memorandum informing Ms. Comey of her termination gave no explanation for the firing, but cited the article too. In the lawsuit, Ms. Comey said that the U.S. Attorney Jay Clayton, who's like the head guy, right, was unable to provide her with a rationale. All I can say is that it came from Washington. Mr. Clayton told her, according to the lawsuit. I can't tell you anything else. So the firing didn't come from Clayton. It wasn't like a performance issue, even though a lot of us, like, we were trying to figure out, well, is it because like she lost the RICO case with Diddy? What happened, right? And it wasn't even that. It literally came directly from the White House. The White House fired the lady. That's what happened. The White House and the Department of Justice did not immediately respond to a request for comment on Monday. The lawsuit urges that Ms. Comey's firing was done without cause, advance notice, or opportunity to contest it, and it was unlawful and unconstitutional. It says that the dismissal was retaliation for her father's protected speech or because of her perceived political affiliation and beliefs, or both. So she still doesn't know why she was fired till this day. Like, she never got a heads up from the White House. See, and even like, regardless of where you stand, I still think you should tell people why they get let go. Like, regardless of where you stand, y'all, you have to tell people why you put a one in the chat. Like, I'm not a fan of Comey. I understand she got a very interesting background. I get it. I'm not a fan of a lot of these people, right? Y'all know that. But put a one in the chat. Wouldn't you want to know why you were let go? Even if I was at an at-will employee, whatever it was, they still have to give you a reason why you were let go. They might not need to give you a reason to improve your performance or anything like that. Like, you don't, they might just let you go without actual like improvement of your performance, but they got to give you a reason why they let you go. And I know a lot of you guys are saying once. Okay, you said it too. You think they did tell her? I don't know, man. Oh my goodness. Finding your 40 just gifted 10 memberships. Thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my God, finding your 40. I hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a minute. 3-month membership, y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, guys. Make sure you put some hearts in the chat if you've been gifted. I was here for the trial, but I've been here much longer than that. Thank you, Apple Pie. Appreciate it. You said that you think that they told her. She's saying she don't know. And that's why she's suing. Like, was she in a like bad review? What happened? That's the question. I didn't know what we were putting numbers for. Okay, the numbers are for, like, if you feel like she should at least know why she's being fired, put a 1 in the chat. If she shouldn't be told why and just assume that it's coming from the White House and the president, put a 2. No, there's nothing here. Here you go, my love. Well, there's nothing to play there. Thank you. She didn't know. She didn't know. That's right. So we don't know or anything. And I know some people do not trust her. Like, so she says, I don't trust her. Yeah, like, some people do not trust Maurene Comey. There's, her dad or anything like that. There's a lot of sketchiness behind her, but this is why she's being fired, because of her dad. So this is giving retaliation. Right? Like, it's definitely giving retaliation if you're being fired because your dad was the head of the FBI and he did the president wrong, whatever it may be. Anyways, let's keep going, y'all. So this is what it says. It says that the dismissal was retaliation for her father's protected speech or because of her perceived political affiliations and beliefs, or both. Ms. Comey contends that the law provides no authority for the president to fire rank and file prosecutors who are protected by civil service laws passed by Congress and signed by past presidents. And this is the part where I was telling you guys that, like, she's a civil servant. So there are laws that protect civil servants, even though the state may be at will. There are laws that protect, if you're working for the city or for a government position or for the county, whatever it may be, or for the state, there are laws that protect civil servants as well. And they can't just willy-nilly fire you, even though you have an at-will law. So that has to be measured. That can be argued. I've seen it done way too many times. Neither the president nor the Department of Justice have unlimited authority to remove prosecutors, according to the lawsuit, which was filed by Ms. Comey's lawyer, Nicole Guerrero, Ellen Blaine, Deepa Vanimal, and Margaret Donovan. the enmity between the president and Miss Comey's father dates from 2016 presidential election, when Mr. Comey, then the FBI director, publicly announced that the agency would not recommend charges against Mr. Trump's opponent, Hillary Clinton. This goes deep. Mr. Trump fired him in May of 2017, and the two men have criticized each other in the public ever since. In the days before Ms. Comey's firing, Mr. Trump had claimed without evidence that files related to Mr. Epstein's crimes were a hoax concocted by Mr. Comey. This is interesting. Ms. Comey and other fired prosecutors and Justice Department officials are among a legion of employees dismissed since Trump took office in January, leading to the legal battles over the parameters of executive powers. Firing at the Justice Department have been focused on high-level careers, officials who served in Republican and Democratic administrations, as well as prosecutors who investigated Mr. Trump and the January 6, 2021 attacks on the U.S. Capitol. Like some of the other fired officials, Ms. Comey was targeted by the far-right activist Laura Loomer. Y'all remember when Laura was like, she's terminated, like she was happy about it, who the suit notes, they mentioned her in the lawsuit. Damn it, let's find this lawsuit. Called her firing on social media. After the termination, Ms. Loomer celebrated online, taking credit for the pressure campaign. Damn. Damn. Yes. Don't you think that's funny, Eternity? This is something that you gotta like take notes. Don't you think that's funny that that's how it happened? It's crazy, man. Crazy work. The firing is just, but I mean, like this president has too much reach in many departments. It's just crazy. I didn't know, like, name a president who has used, I guess, Article 2 of the Constitution. I don't know. Like, that was the first time I've ever heard of any. Now, I don't know, man. Maybe Comey is, because people have said in the chat, I've heard it before. Y'all have said Comey is sketch. She's trash. She's this or she's that, or there's something very sketch with their dad. And I don't know if it's this Hillary connection because Hillary wasn't prosecuted. I don't know, man. I don't know. But y'all let me know what you think. You said, yep, that's what I think. It has to do with the Epstein files. Yeah. And a lot of us thought that it had to do with Diddy. I mean, it was just an assumption that we made. You know what I mean? You said everybody's guilty. Everybody's guilty. Yes. Wow. Okay, let's keep going, y'all. Let's keep going. Okay. You said so obvious his intention was. He fires her and then Ghislaine moves. And I took a little bit of a break on talking about this just because I needed to gain myself again. But this is crazy, man. By the way, let me just say, the people were really upset with me about my video yesterday. And let me tell you, I'm not here to change anybody's opinion about my opinions on how I feel about certain things. I respect y'all's opinion. But when I speak from the heart, that's where I speak from. And, people try to convince me different. That's fine. But, I'm always true to myself. And I'll be true to you guys, if that makes sense. But we don't have to agree, which is fine. This is not the White House, and I'm not going to fire you for it. Okay? All right, let's keep going. And not that I can, because y'all aren't hired anyways. So what kind of firing would there be anyways? Thank you, Marsha B. I know, Marsha B, but there's a lot of people that were mad, and there's a lot of members that were upset, and a lot of people said, hey, I'm done. I'm canceling my membership. And you know what? I love y'all. It's okay. But I said what I said respectfully. I didn't disrespect anybody, but I said what I said very respectfully. So yeah, no. And I might create a video so I can show you guys, like, just the comments that I got, that, like, there were people were inserting things that I didn't say. So it's kind of weird. Like, I never called this, this man who tragically died, whether I agree with his speech or not. He did tragically die. And we all saw it. Never called him out of his name or anything like that. Never said anything like that. I just said, y'all, I'm not like, I don't feel like openly sharing a lot about my thoughts on it, because my thoughts are a little bit different than everybody else's. Yeah, it does. It does. And I think we just have to be kind of mindful, but that's okay. Shout out to them. People come and people go. Y'all are the real ones, and I love you guys. Let's keep going with this. So, hold up, hold up, hold up. So Laura Loomer was like, "Yay, she's fired, and that's because of her pressuring." Miss Comey's suit, which seeks back pay and legal fees, asked that she be reinstated. Oh, wait, she wants to go back to office? Girl, what? See, she want to go back. She want to go back. Oh, you got to wait. Okay. Hold up. I need to reread this sentence. Miss Comey, um, hold up. I don't know why I wouldn't go back. I mean, look, Miss Comey's suit, which seeks back pay and legal fees, asks that she be reinstated. She want to be back on that because I think she was like, so it's like Jay Clayton, and then it was her. If I'm thinking of the leadership tree and stuff like that. Like that's how it seems like to me. So she wants to be reinstated in that position, and that Trump administration not act against her without affording her due process. Ooh. Her termination, the suit says, comes without advance notice or an opportunity to contest. See, that's the piece. It's like if they were planning to fire her, she wasn't given advance notice. She couldn't fight it, you know? The suit makes the case that she had an exemplary career from the time that she was hired in 2015. She personally handled 11 trials and obtained more than 200 convictions, the lawsuit says. She served as the co-chief of a unit that prosecutes violent and organized crimes. So she was the head of a lot of the RICO cases, okay? Keep that in mind. And later of the unit that pursues public corruption offenses. In the second role, she supervised prosecution of Robert Menendez, the former Democratic senator from New Jersey, on bribery charges. He was convicted and is serving an 11-year sentence. So look at this. This lady not only was she was going after celebrities, she was going after church leaders and a bunch of other people, but she was also going after the Democratic senators. See, that's the thing about people need to understand. We need to stop. Let me tell y'all something. And shut up. I'm Catholic, right? So I definitely grew with some Catholicism. But one of the things that I understand in the Ten Commandments is what's that one, man? Thou shalt not have any other leaders. Thou shalt not worship other people. Thou shalt not be worshiping false idols. I think that's what it is, yo. My Bible people, put in the chat because I don't want to get it wrong, okay? But I'm pretty sure I can't remember which of the 10 commandments that is. Y'all need to stop worshiping these false idols. And this is what I mean by that. The Democrats and the Republicans can get it. Does that make sense? Like we go both ways on this channel. Does that make sense? Your favorite celebrity, your favorite church leader, your favorite politician, literally. Because honestly, it's a second one. Yo, finding your 40 is like 1 through rabbit, it's 1 through 4. But see, that's the thing. You said it's a second. I gotta Google search it. Listen, they ingrained this when I went. Okay, so it is. Look at Miss Toby's like, no, rabbit. Listen, it's thou shalt not worship false idols. Number two, politicians are false idols. I think they fall under that. So this guy right here, okay, was a false idol. Presidents can be false idols too, right? Got to be careful. We might elect them, but we don't need to worship them. Does that make sense? Okay. Yes. Exactly. Thank you, Flor. Say that louder. Common sense and morality don't require political affiliations, in my opinion. But people are worshiping certain like people that sit on certain things, and I'm like, yo, but they're weak. They're weak. We're human. We're weak. What is there to celebrate about us? Anyways, let me keep going. Anyways, I just wanted to point this out because I'm like, girl, she went after this guy too. Okay. She also led the trial against Sean Combs this year. Okay, she did. And he was convicted of transportation to engage in prostitution and will be sentenced in October. There's going to be a hearing, I want to say next week. So we're going to be live on that hearing. Keep that note. I believe I can't remember if it's the 23rd, 24th, or 25th. One of those days. We're going to be live on that. This week, we might be live on Emmanuel Jarro just so people are aware. But anyway, so she led that. The RICO didn't work out for that case, just so people are aware, but he was convicted of other crimes. Among the cases she worked, the investigation and indictment of Mr. Epstein and the prosecution of Miss Maxwell have attracted the most attention, with renewed intensity in recent months. In 2019, Miss Comey was assigned to the team that prosecuted Mr. Epstein for trafficking before his death that August. She then led the successful prosecution of Epstein's former companion, Maxwell. But you know what? Whoever said it in the chat, was it Miss Toby? Or Eternity. It might have been Eternity. Yeah, guys, isn't it convenient that he fired her and then Ghislaine gets moved around too? I find that to be very interesting. You found the lawsuit? Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh, I love you, girl. I love you. Hold up. Oh, hold up. Is this it? Wait, what is this? Wait, these are emails. I don't think this is a lawsuit. This is ex-FBI Director James Comey memos, excuse me. Are you sure you found the lawsuit? Because I don't remember. Hold up. This is what I have. I don't think this is the lawsuit. I just went through it, and there's nothing that says lawsuit on it. Check it. Hold up. Let me see something real quick. It says Comey lawsuit, but this is the FBI Director James Comey memos, but there's no lawsuit documents in here. Hold up. Nothing. There's no lawsuit documents. These are all just old emails from, well, we know probably from that investigation. I don't know. Maybe you got the wrong link, but if you found it, please email it to me because that would be amazing. Because I would love to read that. Okay. Hold up. Where did I go? See, here we go. So the Epstein and Maxwell cases returned to the headlines this summer when officials in Mr. Trump's Justice Department released a memo asserting that their review of files related to Mr. Epstein revealed no incriminating client lists. Members of the president's base, many of whom believed the files would incriminate prominent Democrats, revolted. Their demands for the release of the files sent the administration scrambling. Ms. Comey's firing came amid that scrambling. Yes, it sure did. Okay, so that's it. Now let me see. I really want to find this lawsuit. I think we could probably find it. You said, remember, Rabbit, you don't remember. It's going to cost you like 10 Hail Marys. I know. Dang it. But I do wonder about this. Hold up. And then I'm telling you, I'm going through Pacer. The lady's got 500 freaking lawsuits. I'll show y'all. And that's why I'm like, oh, this is going to be a hard find. Comey, Maurene. I'll show you guys my Pacer in the screen. Shout out to people that helped me with the Pacer. I really do appreciate it. Okay. This is literally all under Comey. I cannot find, and I'm just trying to see, maybe I might find it in the new recent filings, but she's got 515 results. And I'm looking for Southern District of New York. In a recent filing, nothing. Hold up. Let's see if we can. This is all Southern District of New York, but she started in 2015. So I think this is, I'm like, y'all are going to look with it with me too. Southern District of New York. Let's see. I hate Pacer. It is too damn old school for me. I wish they would update this system. It needs like revamping. And it's not very user friendly. No, I can't find it. Google lied, and I'll send you what they said. Hold up, girl. We just need the complaint number. Yeah, if for whatever reason, it's Kissamooch. It's not there. And what you send me isn't a link either. Okay, hold up. Let me check something else, y'all. See if I can find it here. Maybe somebody's already uploaded it. Ooh, and I'm going to check Twitter too. Because, Twitter's got everything. Maurene Comey. Maurene Comey lawsuit. Let's see. I need the paperwork. Oh, okay, hold up. This person got some of it. This is a page of it. Maurene Comey. Let's see. It's 39 pages if that helps, says Red Bunny. Thank you guys. You know what, Miss Toby? It won't let me filter. Like even if I filter to date and I've used it, it's just not very user friendly. It just isn't. Hold up, let me see. What I typically do, I just hope to get a case number because it'll help me pull it up. Anyways, let me. Oh, you got it. Oh, okay, thank you. Let me see. Let's look at this. 1-25. Why is it 1 though? It should be 10. It should be 9. But okay, because isn't it month? CV. Well, I'm gonna type this up. CVC 07625. Nope, it's not it. This is Smith versus AT&T service. Let me retype it. Hold up. This is Smith versus AT&T service. I would think it would say, why is it 1? Isn't it? Because isn't it month and then year? It would be 9, right? It's on Discord? Okay, hold up. Oh, Aduco. Aduco got it. Aduco got it. Thank you. Thank you. We got it. We got it. We got it. Put a 1 in the chat, y'all. Put a 1 in the chat. Put some hearts for Aduco. Oh my goodness. All right, hold up, y'all. Let me fill this up before we get into this lawsuit, y'all. Hit the like button. It is free. Tell me what your like number is. Let me go fill this bubble thing up. Hold up. Okay, baby bunny's got bubbles. All right. So so Maurene Comey is the plaintiff. She's suing the United States Department of Justice, okay, Executive Office of the President, Fancy Hanks. So she is the in her official capacity as the director of the Executive's Office for the United States Attorneys. Pamela Bondi, Executive Office for United States Attorneys, okay, and the Office of Personnel Management. So she is doing this. It's 39 pages. You guys were right. So here's the complaint. Maurene Comey was an exemplary, dedicated, and highly decorative public servant who spent nearly 10 years prosecuting crime and corruption without fear or favor as the Assistant United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Ms. Comey, tenured, acting in accord with Department of Justice policy pursuant to direction from the Department of Justice and United States Attorney's Office leaders, she helped protect the American public by securing hundreds of criminal convictions and participating in dozens of complex cases, including prosecution of homicides, racketeering, and public corruption. Based on her outstanding record, she was assigned to prosecute high-profile defendants, including Sean Diddy Combs. Lord have mercy. They just mentioned Sean Diddy Combs. Hold up. Let me download this real quick because I want to open this on Adobe so I can really use my highlighter. Let's use Adobe on this lawsuit. Okay. Sean Diddy Combs. I know she doesn't need it, but how can I donate to her legal fund? Anybody know? Oh, Vicky. Does she go donate to her legal fund? Vicky, you want to contact her and say if she's got a legal fund? Lord have, it does kind of make you wonder if anybody would like donate though. But okay, hold up. Let me get my cute little orange highlighter. Hold up. Where's my highlight? Highlight. Highlight text. Here we go. I don't know why it's not letting me do that. Anyways. Okay. Why can't I open this? Oh, this is going to bother me. Customize tools. I can't even. Okay, whatever. Let me keep moving. Sean Diddy Combs, Robert Hatton, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell. In recognition for her work, the Department of Justice repeatedly promoted and honored Ms. Comey. Despite her exemplary performance, Ms. Comey was abruptly fired on July 16, 2025, the day after the U.S. Attorney's Office had asked her to take the lead on a major public corruption case. Oh, all right. Look at this note. Okay. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this, my friends. Ms. Comey was abruptly fired July 16, 2025, the day after the U.S. Attorney's Office had asked her to take lead on a major public corruption case. And just 3 months after her latest receipt of outstanding review. So she gets an outstanding review. She gets fired abruptly the day after the attorney's office asked her to take lead on a case. Defendants did not identify any cause or provided Ms. Comey any due process for her removal. She simply received an email with an attachment stating that she was being terminated pursuant to Article 2 of the United States Constitution and laws of the United States. Ooh. Ms. Comey's termination without cause, without advance notice, and without an opportunity to contest it was unlawful and unconstitutional. In addition to her fundamental constitutional rights, Ms. Comey had a statutory protection under the Civil Service Reform Act, the CSRA. Yeah, so even though it's at will, you get these kinds of protections. You do. Okay. Yo, this is crazy. They did her dirty? Oh my God. Thank you. Oh, you came from BJ. Shout out to BJ, guys. Make sure you guys are dropping hearts for BJ. Thank you, BJ. Okay, hold up, y'all. Let me keep going with this. Ms. Comey's termination without cause, without advance notice, and without any opportunity to contest it was unlawful and unconstitutional. In addition to her fundamental constitutional rights, Ms. Comey had statutory protections under that Civil Servant Reform Act that governs how, that governs how and why she could be terminated, included specific prohibitions against her termination for discriminatory reasons, such as political affiliations. But she doesn't know if it was a political affiliation. She's assuming that that's what it is, right? Like, she's assuming that that's what it is. Her termination violated every one of those protections. Defendants have not provided any explanation whatsoever for terminating Ms. Comey. In truth, there is no legitimate explanation. Rather, defendants fired Ms. Comey solely or substantially because her father is former FBI Director James B. Comey, or because of her perceived political affiliations and beliefs or not. They didn't tell her why. I just assume, like, so even if the president is firing you, you don't get to be told why you're being fired. Oh, BJ, shout out to BJ. BJ, you got to see this lawsuit. This is crazy. Like, literally, do they not tell you why? Nothing? They didn't tell her? You said, nah, they did her dirty. Then again, half the shit that's being done is dirty as AF. Everything. You said she's seeking employment where and what in termination later. This is all claims sound weak. Well, I don't know, Joe. I don't know. You said, did he put anything out in his social media platform? You know, that's what I'm wondering. Did the president put anything out there? Yes. And the White House and the so she's suing Trump, the White House, and other folks in there. Okay. I don't think she's seeking reemployment. She's seeking reinstatement. She wants to be back in that position that she was in, and she wants to be protected of any like targeting. She feels like she's being targeted. She wasn't given a reason why she was fired. She was sent an email, and it said it was basically Article 2 of the Constitution, and nobody else told her anything. So, and it keeps going in the lawsuit. James Comey served as the director of the FBI from 2013 until President Trump fired him in 2017. For the past 9 years, President Trump has publicly criticized Mr. Comey for his actions while serving as the FBI director. And because after he was fired, Mr. Comey wrote a memoir critical of President Trump, continued to publicly criticize President Trump and his administration, and in May of 2025 posted a message on social media that President Trump and others in Trump administration claims to perceive as threatening. So whatever he was posting out there, they were perceived as threats. Okay. So it says here, according to a website that compiles President Trump's posts on social media platforms X and Truth Social, President Trump has posted or reposted approximately 259 times about Mr. Comey from October 16, 2016 to the date of this filing, including repeatedly calling him the worst FBI director in history. Put a one in the chat, because I know I got people in my chat that I believe, and I don't know, but was he a really bad FBI director? Tell me what he failed to do, because he might have failed. You know, guys, I don't have any idols here. We just established that if we're talking about religion, one of the 10 commandments says, number 2, I believe, shout out to Miss Toby. She said number 2 says, you will not follow false prophets. And I feel like false prophets are all over, between the presidents, the politicians, the religious leaders, the celebrities. They're false prophets all over the place, but people praise the walk, the ground that these people walk. But let me know. Okay, hold up. You said it's so shady. I know, right? He felt, is he shady? Tell me what he's shady. He didn't prosecute Hillary Clinton. Like, let me know. And by the way, Hillary Clinton is trash too. I do not, like I said, I don't praise these people. Okay. Following Mr. Comey's May 2025 social media posts and other critical statements, President Trump's supporters called for Ms. Comey's firing. Notable among those supporters is Laura Loomer. Remember, the lady went in there and she was like, haha, winning. It was my pressuring, that got her fired. A social media influencer who, on information I believe, has political influence in Trump administrations, including influence over the termination of federal employees. Ooh. President Trump has publicly stated, if you're Loomered, you're in deep trouble. That's the end of your career, in a sense. Loomered, like her last name? Okay. On May 18, 2025, Miss Loomer called for Mr. Comey's liberal daughter and her Democrat husband to be fired from the DOJ immediately. This is what Loomer said in its quotes, for being a national security risk via their proximity to a criminal, i.e. Mr. Comey, who just committed a felony by threatening to assassinate the president. Ms. Loomer also declared that under Attorney General Pam Bondi, every deep state operator is being emboldened, and that she questioned the impartiality of Maury and Lucas, Maury's husband, in their prosecutorial roles, especially in high-profile cases, due to the undeniable bias and influence stemming from James Comey's public criticism of Trump and the ongoing investigation into his Instagram posts. After Ms. Comey's termination, Ms. Loomer boasted that the decision, came to months after my pressure campaign on Pat Bondi to fire Comey's daughter and Comey's son-in-law from the DOJ. Ooh. Okay. The politically motivated termination of Ms. Comey under Article 2 of the Constitution upends bedrock principles of our democracy and justice system. Assistant United States Attorney like Ms. Comey must do their job without fearing or favor any political party or perspective, guided solely by the law, the facts, and pursuant of justice. Congress recognized this essential proposition and, pursuant to its Article 1 powers, enacted the CSR, that Civil Service Reform Act, to place guardrails on the removal of an AUSAs and other federal employees and ensure continuity and impartiality in government services. The executive branches cannot use Article 2 to overrule Congress and remove career civil servants for perceived disloyalty. Look at this. The executive branch cannot use Article 2 to overrule Congress and remove career civil servants for perceived disloyalty, such as an act violates the Constitution, fundamental separations of power. It also violates the Bill of Rights, depriving Ms. Comey of protection under the First and Fifth Amendment. Ooh, thoughts? There it is. But I thought that if the president, because that's what it made it sound like, the president could just send a letter and basically say like, you're fired, you're fired. That's what they can do. That's interesting. You said Beyonce already knew about this? That is funny. That is funny. If Beyonce already knew about this. Okay, hold up. Let's keep going, okay? Let's see. You said she blew one of the biggest cases of her life. She deserves to be fired, says Red Bunny. Ooh. Politicians are trash, or at least not doing enough to help enforce the people's wants and needs. They don't listen. Mr. Comey on FBI protests the day after the will hold of the Epstein files. Wasn't it he who threatened to quit? I don't remember. Did he? That's interesting. Okay, let's keep going. Hey, minds, y'all have a good day, okay? Shout out to you and everybody that's working. Y'all don't get fired. Don't blame it on me, okay? To challenge her illegal termination and assert her rights under the United States Constitution and federal laws, Ms. Comey brings this action against the U.S. Department of Justice, the Executive Office of the President, Director of Executive Office for the United States Attorneys, Fancy Hakes, in her official capacity, the U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi in her official capacity, the Executive Office for the United States Attorneys, the Office of Personnel Management, and the Executive Office for United States Attorney, the Office of Personnel Management. We read this in the United States of America for the purpose of seeking relief under the Administrative Procedures Act. The act is listed there. Okay, so I'm going to keep going here because this is a read. So we kind of said everybody, all the parties, we already know who she's suing. Here's Comey. She's suing everybody. We've already read this. Jurisdiction and venue. I want to go to the facts. All right, here we go. Y'all ready? I might have to run and get me some water because we're going to read the facts. This is what Comey's alleging, okay? And I don't know why she would lie about this, so let's see about this, okay? Let's see about this. Ms. Comey served as an exemplary assistant United States attorney in the Southern District of New York. Ms. Comey graduated from the College of William and Mary sum cum laude. That was my sum cum laude was my undergraduate GPA reach, whatever. But anyways, in 2010, okay, so we graduated the same year. I graduated in 2010 with my undergraduate from Harvard Law School, where she served on the Harvard Law Review. Wow, in 2013. After graduating from law school, Ms. Comey worked for a year as an associate at DeBose and Pimpsland. I don't know how to say their last name, but it's a law office in New York City. She moved into the public sector after that, serving as a law clerk. Okay, serving as a law clerk to the U.S. District Attorney Judge Loretta A. Pinska, then Chief Justice of the Southern District of New York. Ms. Comey completed her clerkship and decided to build a career in public service. She applied to serve as an assistant U.S. attorney, United States attorney in the Southern District of New York in March of 2015. After a rigorous interview process with the assistant U.S. attorney in the civil and criminal divisions of the office, as well as the executive staff, she was hired by the Print Barara. That's how you say that. Sorry, y'all. The United States attorney for the Southern District of New York, Barara. She began her employment as the AUSA in November of 2015. Ms. Comey, ensuing decades of service, was exemplary. In her tenure at SDNY, she personally handled 11 criminal trials, secured over 200 convictions, briefed and argued multiple appeals before the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit and supervised numerous additional federal investigators, trial, and convictions. Her performance consistently earned her accolades and promotions, as well as an outstanding rating in her annual reviews, along with the glowing commentary, including, for example, okay, one sec. Miss Comey is highly respected and is a leader in the office. She is a brilliant lawyer and a gifted supervisor. She is the lawyer the office turns to when legal excellence is a must. Okay, here's more reviews. Miss Comey handled the highest profile cases in the office because her judgment, work product, and courtroom advocacy are among the finest. Miss Comey is highly accomplished, AUSA and manager, and is outstanding. Miss Comey routinely demonstrates creative and perseverance, initiative, and dedication. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, praising Miss Comey. All right, so she did good. Why don't you just provide a copy of your work performance? I mean, she literally posted 20 10 of the great reviews. Nothing that says she needs to work on this, but okay. Anyways, as further testament to her dedication and exceptional work, SDNY leadership repeatedly asked Ms. Comey to conduct the prosecution of some of the most significant criminal cases in the office's recent history, which she also won. Notably, in her 10 years as an AUSA, Ms. Comey served with distinction through Democratic and Republican administrations, earning the support and the confidence of supervisors, United States Attorney and DOJ officials serving under President Obama, Trump, and Biden. Yeah, she was around. So she started in 2015. She would have been around for Trump's first term, right? So what's the issue? Like, I don't know why okay, like, let's put aside that that's her dad, but why else would they let her go? What else would be the reason to let her go if it wasn't for the fact that she's associated? Like, that's her dad. What would be the reason? Because she did serve, she was in office at New York, Southern District of New York, when Trump was first in office. So the issue has to be her dad. I mean, that would be like retaliation, right? Yo, the president retaliating? Lord have mercy. I mean, that's like, wow. Okay. Miss Comey spent the first 18 months of her AUSA career in SDNY's White Plains Division, where she pursued violence, narcotics, fraud, and sexual exploitation cases. During this time, Miss Comey investigated and began prosecuting Nicholas Tarjalian, a former police officer and the perpetrator of a gruesome quadruple homicide. After many years of building the case and a 4-week trial in 2023, Ms. Comey and her team secured a conviction against that officer on all 17 counts, and he was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences. In recognition of her excellent work with that case, the U.S. Attorney Bahara awarded Miss Comey an award for outstanding efforts and exceptional high-quality work in December of 2016. That would have been her second year in the office. Miss Comey moved to the Manhattan office in 2017 and joined the Violent and Organized Crime Unit, where she prosecuted dozens of defendants for violent offenses, including racketeering and murder. In September 2019, Ms. Comey moved to the Public Corruption Unit, where she prosecuted bribery and other cases involving abuse of public trust. With her significant experience in prosecuting matters involving violence and sexual exploitation of her SDNY supervisors assigned by Ms. Comey to work on the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein in the spring of 2019. She was part of the team that conducted grand jury proceedings and secure an indictment against Mr. Epstein for trafficking and conspiracy. Mr. Epstein was arrested July 6, 2019, and they're listing on the footnotes just some of the facts, I guess, that they're putting out there, exhibits. Miss Comey was one of the 3 prosecutors who then represented the United States in Mr. Epstein's criminal case, successfully defeating his request for bail pending trial. Mr. Epstein died in federal jail on August 10, 2019, while awaiting trial. As a result, the charges against him were ultimately dismissed. Okay. Jeffrey Burnham, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, serving in the first Trump administration, supervised Ms. Comey's work on the investigation and prosecution of Mr. Epstein at all times. At the direction and under the supervision of the SDNY leadership, Ms. Comey and her team continued to investigate Mr. Epstein's criminal operation after Mr. Epstein died. They uncovered details that implicated Mr. Epstein's former girlfriend, corroborator, Ghislaine Maxwell. Now hold up, guys, because I gotta get me a drink, y'all, because my throat is getting dry and I don't want it to close up. Give me 1 second, guys. Let me get a drink. We won't stop right here. Oh my God. Okay. Thank you. Sorry. Um, let's see. At the direction and under the supervision of an SDNY leadership, Ms. Comey and her team continue to investigate Epstein. Okay, so they investigate. I think I read this part already. And then he dies, and then they start moving on to Ghislaine Maxwell. On or about July 2nd, 2020, the SDNY, through Ms. Comey and her team, obtained an indictment charging Ms. Maxwell with enticing a minor to travel to engage in criminal sexual activity, transporting a minor with the intent to engage in criminal sexual activity, conspiracy to commit both of those offenses, and perjury in connection with 2 sworn depositions. Ms. Comey and her team subsequently obtained a superseding indictment, additionally charging Ms. Maxwell with conspiracy to commit S trafficking of a minor and S trafficking of a minor. At the direction and under the supervision of the SDNY leadership, Ms. Comey successfully led the investigation and prosecution of Ms. Maxwell, including serving as one of the lead trial lawyers in a months-long trial, and secured justice for many victims of Mr. Epstein and Ms. Maxwell. On December 29, 2021, a jury convicted Ms. Maxwell on 5 counts. Now, let me tell you something, guys. The question that I have is that I do wonder, like, she is at a low community base facility. It does kind of make you wonder if they're just gonna let this woman just walk or what's gonna happen here. It just makes you wonder. Okay. Let's see. Maxwell on 5 counts, including S trafficking of a minor, conspiracy, and transportation of a minor for illegal sexual activity. Miss Maxwell was sentenced in June 2020 to 20 years in prison for her role in S trafficking scheme. The U.S. Attorney Burnham and later acting U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss, both serving in the first Trump administration, were deeply involved in supervising the investigation and prosecution of Ms. Maxwell during their tenures. In addition, also at the direction and under the supervision of the Southern District of New York leadership, Ms. Comey handled the investigation and indictment of Dr. Robert Hatton. This is that gynecologist who was he working with the gymnast? Put a 1 in the chat if I'm right about this one, because the name sounds familiar. Dr. Robert Hatton, a gynecologist who criminally abused dozens of patients for decades at Columbia University and New York Presbyterian Hospital. Mr. Hatton was sentenced to 20 years in prison for his depraved crimes. Am I right about that? Which one is there was a doctor that was he was violating a lot of gymnasts, and he was like a doctor, and he also, I forgot his name, and he might be Nasser. So this is a different one. He was the one that was abusing. So this is a different doctor. Okay. I don't know why my mind thought it was Nasser. You're right. Nasser's a different guy. Ms. Comey carried a substantial caseload beyond the high-profile matters she handled. Those other cases featured a large volume of violence and drug-related cases, including the prosecution's the prosecution of over 40 defendants charged with murder, over 80 additional defendants charged with racketeering conspiracy, and over 80 additional defendants charged with narcotic offenses. In addition, Ms. Comey handled white-collar cases, such as the prosecution of multiple correctional officers for accepting bribes from inmates in exchange for smuggling contraband, a union president and a volunteer fire department treasurer for embezzlement, and a senior advisor at the Treasury Department's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network for unlawfully disclosing suspicious activity reports. And there's more sites for that. In February 2020, in recognition of her work and with the approval of the Department of Justice, Ms. Comey was promoted to Deputy Chief of the Violent and Organized Crime Unit. She was promoted again in June 2021 to Co-Chief of the Violent and Organized Crime Unit, and then once again in January of 2023 to Co-Chief of Public Corruption Unit. All three times, the United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York approved her promotions. Audrey Strauss, the first two, and Damian Williams, the third. Now, Damian Williams, don't forget, he kind of came in with Diddy. He came in and they held the press conference. He wasn't even all the way there. He had to go. He was out. He also went after Eric, the one, I think he's dropping out of the race, the governor of New York. And then he also went after Mike Jeffries. I mean, this was all in 2024. He was going after a lot of people. So Damian Williams is an interesting name here that's being mentioned. He promoted her too, apparently. In addition, in May of 2023, the director of the Executive Office for United States Attorneys awarded Ms. Comey and her team the prestigious Director's Award for superior performance by a litigative team with respects to the Maxwell trial. Ms. Comey's outstanding work continued over the next 2 years, during which she successfully prosecuted and supervised several more prominent cases. For example, at the direction under the supervision of the Southern District of New York leadership, Ms. Comey oversaw the team that indicted and tried former New Jersey Senator Robert Menendez and his wife and 3 other business associates on federal privacy charges in September of 2023. Ms. Comey and her co-chief closely supervised the 9-week trial, after which a jury found Mr. Menendez guilty on all 16 counts, including bribery and conspiracy to act as a foreign agent. He subsequently resigned from the Senate, and in January of 2025, he was sentenced to 11 years in prison. Okay, here we go. Further, at the direction and under the supervision of the Southern District of New York leadership, in February of 2024, Ms. Comey and her co-chief oversaw the team that charged 70 current and former employees of the New York City Housing Authority with bribery and extortion for accepting cash payments from contractors in exchange for awarding the Housing Authority, New York Housing Authority, contracts, the largest number of federal bribery charges brought on a single day. Wow. After serving as a supervisor for several years, Ms. Comey requested then the U.S. Attorney Damian Williams to permit her to return full-time to trial work, which he granted, appointing Ms. Comey as a senior trial counsel in the Public Corruption Unit in August of 2024. Most recently, Ms. Comey joined the prosecution team that tried Sean Diddy Combs. Mr. Combs was indicted and arrested in September 2024 and charged with racketeering, sex trafficking, transportation to engage in prostitution. Ms. Comey's supervisors asked her to join the team after Mr. Combs was charged, and she served as a lead prosecutor in the 2-month trial against him from May through July 2025. Oh my goodness, that was this year. It's crazy. So much has happened in between. Mr. Combs was convicted of transportation with intent to commit prostitution and now awaits sentencing. He faces up to 20 years in prison. That is yet to be determined, but we will see, y'all. Whew. Okay. Let's see what else. And Aduko, thank you again for these documents. This is amazing. Thank you. Notwithstanding, Ms. Comey demonstrated leadership capabilities and significant prosecutorial experience. She spent her entire career as the Assistant United States Attorney at the end of a long line of supervisors with the Department of Justice. Even at her highest position as a unit co-chief, a approval authority for certain prosecutorial functions, most notably approval of all indictments, ultimately rested with the Southern District of New York Criminal Division Deputy Chiefs. It's like all these offices, Criminal Division Chief and United States Attorney. She had no authority to set DOJ policy. Okay, here we go. She had no authority to set DOJ policy. Instead, she implemented the policy set by her supervisors. Moreover, certain prosecutorial functions in many of Ms. Comey's cases could not be performed without express approval of the Department of Justice officials outside of the SDNY's own leadership chain. For example, violent crime cases that involve the use of electronic surveillance, wiretap, required the approval of a senior DOJ leader who oversaw the electronic surveillance unit at DOJ headquarters. Additionally, racketeering charges require the approval of senior DOJ leaders with the violent crime and racketeering section at DOJ headquarters. So she's saying here that she's not acting alone. She doesn't have to use the DOJ book or policies. It says right here, she had no authority to set DOJ policies, but she basically took it upon herself that when she's working a case, she was using some of these policies to basically work with people, right? So here it says right here that for the racketeering charges that actually she needed approval from folks. So the decision to charge Diddy didn't just come from the Southern District of New York, or even the decision to charge all these people. It comes from a higher branch, if that makes sense. It's not just Maurene Comey is in charge of charging everybody. She's actually having to get approval to do that. Yeah, she's going by the book, but she's also going above and beyond, if that makes sense. Because she doesn't have to go in certain aspects, but she needs approval to move forward to charge other people, right? That's what I picked up on that. Okay, let's keep going. So she says that she needs senior approval from DOJ leaders within the violent crime and racketeering section at DOJ headquarters. And certain cases implicating national security require approval of senior DOJ leaders within the National Security Division at the DOJ headquarters. Similarly, cases involving the investigation of current or former United States politicians require the approval of senior DOJ leaders within the public integrity section at DOJ headquarters. In these and in similar instances, Ms. Comey's work as a prosecuting attorney and unit supervisor involve implementing decisions made by a chain of supervisors and approval authorities stretching from the Southern District of New York Criminal Division to the Office of the Attorney General. Okay, and I think that the reason this doesn't tell me why she's fired, but I think that this is at least letting us know the process of how she works. It's not like Comey's got a big head and she's prosecuting everybody. No, everybody responds to everybody and there's a chain of command type of situation. And sometimes this command is even outside of the Southern District of New York. It goes to Washington or something like that. Okay, Ms. Comey is terminated without advance notice or cause on July 16, 2025. All right. Here we go, y'all. Here we go. Okay. So let me see. Oh, and did they attach the letter exhibit? Whew. Hold up. I'm just checking to see how many more pages we got. Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Let me go up a little bit before we start, because I want to know what happened. What happened on the day? What happened on the day that you got that email? Okay. On July 15, 2025, Ms. Comey met with co-chiefs of the Southern District of New York Public Corruption Unit, who asked her to join the trial team for another of the SDNY major cases. The next day, July 16, 2025, Ms. Comey agreed to take on the case and went to speak with a colleague about joining the trial team. While in her colleague's office, Ms. Comey received an email at about 4:57 p.m. from DOJ's Justice Management Division Director of Human Resources with an attachment titled Memorandum for Maurene R. Comey. The memorandum dated July 16, 2025 and signed by Francie Hacks, the Director of Executive Office for United States Attorney, the same title of office, who awarded Ms. Comey the same office that awarded her is now giving her the boot. The prestigious Director Award for her work on the Maxwell trial stated as follow. Here's the notice this is the notice we've been waiting to figure out what she got. Notice of removal from federal service. This memorandum provides official notice that you are removed from your position of an Assistant United States Attorney AD-0905-29, Criminal Division, Southern District of New York offices of the United States Attorneys, and from federal service effective immediately. Girl, they didn't even say you got 24 hours. They said effective inmediatamente te me largas. That's what they say in Spanish. They said effective immediately. Pursuant to Article 2 of the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States, your employment with the Department of Justice is hereby terminated, and you are removed from federal service effective immediately. If applicable, you may have a right to file an appeal. My goodness. Of this removal with the U.S. Merit System Protection Boards, the MSPB, within 30 days of effective date of this removal action. For more information on how to file the appeal with the MSPB, please visit, and they put the website there. Oh my God. I couldn't even say it. That was hold up. So it's the same office that was awarding the lady is the same office that gave her the boot. Girl. Oh, my throat got dry there. James no, they didn't even escort her out. They said effective. She's over here, chit-chatting with her coworker. Because, sometimes when you work in offices, I sure as hell did. Your coworkers will come over and they talk shit or they talk about their weekends. She's probably just sitting there talking about the weekend and the get-togethers. And then suddenly she gets this email. She's probably looking at her phone and then bam, you're out. You're out. That's crazy. I'm surprised they didn't walk her out if they were going to do it this way. They didn't escort her out or walk her out, because typically they'll do a walkout. Okay, let me keep going, okay? Not dignified at all. Get out. Get out, girl. Okay, attach here to Exhibit A, the termination memorandum. Okay, so I think that they did. Before receiving the termination memorandum, Ms. Comey received no notice or reason for the termination decision. She was provided with no opportunity to respond. Ms. Comey then walked into the office of one of the co-chiefs of the Public Corruption Unit to inform her supervisor that she had been terminated. Those supervisors were visibly shocked and upset by the news. Immediately, Jay Clayton, then interim United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, and Sean Buckley, Deputy United States Attorney for the Southern District of New York, came to the co-chief's office to speak with Ms. Comey and her supervisors. Ms. Comey asked the basis for the termination. U.S. Attorney Clayton responded in sum and substance, all I can say it came from Washington. I can't tell you anything else. So she's going to the head boss or the interim head boss. And he's telling her I can't tell you anything. It's just done. Oh my God. No other explanation was ever provided to Ms. Comey regarding the reason for her termination. The White House also has not provided a substantive explanation for Ms. Comey's termination. The White House press secretary claimed that the termination was a decision that was made by the Department of Justice. And I think I heard her, she was asked about this at a, you know how the White House does their briefing? Pretty sure that was part of it, of it was a decision that was made by the Department of Justice. They asked for a comment, and this is what they had said. Ms. Comey's termination was illegal because it was based on her affiliations with James B. Comey and her perceived political affiliations, beliefs, and or both. All right. So I want you guys to put yourselves in that situation. And if you've ever worked for government, you kind of understand how this works, right? When you work for government, I'm at an at-will state, right? They can't just fire you if you're a civil servant. That you have to appeal. You could appeal. You can do different things. You can go to court. I've seen people get fired. I was sharing this before, and then they get their jobs back, or they get reassigned to a different area depending on what the situation is. So here, how would you guys take this, right? Your dad is a FBI guy, and he got into it with none other than the president, right? How do you make of this? Where do you stand with this? Was this fair to just let her go like that? Has anybody else noticed that Trump's kids, family members, almost completely, I don't know. People have been speculating that Barron, is that his name? His son, he doesn't look too well. I don't know what that means. But people have speculated different things. Yeah, Craig, thank you, Craig. And Craig was like, no, Rabbit, it's not okay. Now hold up. Let me shout out Fail Pessimist. Thank you so much for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Yeah, so let's keep going with this, okay? So she says that she was fired based on this. OPM issues a standard form, SF, notice of personnel action to Ms. Comey shortly after her receipt of July 16, 2025 memorandum. Attached here to Exhibit B, the SF50 redacted. SF5D of Comey. So they're adding more exhibits. And then Section 45 of Ms. Comey's SF50 is titled Remarks. This section states reasons for removal, Article 2 of the Constitution. The July 16 memorandum terminating Ms. Comey indicated twice that she was being removed from federal service. Okay, this term was not defined in the letter. However, they're defining civil service as consisting of all appointed positions in the executive, judicial, and legislative branch of the government. Okay, I'm going to try to skip over this. Defendant did not assert that Ms. Comey was being terminated for cause or for any other reason related to her performance as an AUSA. Nor would such an assertion have been remotely plausible. Ms. Comey was a highly regarded AUSA who had consistently received outstanding reviews and glowing feedback from her supervisors. In fact, on April 25th, 2025, fewer than 3 months before her termination, Ms. Comey received another review of outstanding, which was approved and signed by Jay Clayton, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. So Jay Clayton probably doesn't know. These are conversations that are happening like on top of like if you're thinking about the leadership, this is outside of Jay Clayton, and Jay Clayton, I believe, is just there for the interim, so he's probably not even aware he's doing what he does there. Also, as of the date of her termination, she was counsel of record on hundreds of cases expected to handle sentencing in the Combs case. Oh, remember, yeah, we expected her to sentence that. To brief the appeal in the Tarja Lyon case and to handle another significant trial slated for February 2026, which her supervisors had asked her to lead just one day earlier. Nor could the explanation possibly be that she mishandled her high-profile cases. She received accolades related to her work on some of those high-profile cases. So when she was putting these little quotes of like, she's great, she does a great job, yada, 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 she's letting us know that she wasn't fired for a performance issue. And like I said, when you're working in government, and I've let go of people. Yes, I have. Okay. It's a process. You can't just be the boss and say, hey, you're fired. Like, no. Especially in government. You gotta like CYA and watch it and document everything and document conversations that you're having. Let them know when the employee had like a bad day or they did something wrong. And then if the pattern of behavior does not change, then things escalate to human resources. And that's kind of where you get others involved. And that's kind of how it goes down. But typically it's a progression when there is a performance issues and you're as a civil servant. So this I can believe when she says that, like, look, I got all these rave reviews. If they didn't think she was competent, why was she being offered another case? Why would she take that on? And honestly, like, why wouldn't Jay Clayton be involved in that conversation? It was not a performance issue. It sounds to me like it was retaliatory. No written warning. Right? Yes. And then there's also unions that if you are working in government, you can like get into I've seen this before where a union will protect you too. So there's that. And listen, like I said, if you're working in government, please note, or anywhere else, HR is not your friend. They're there to protect the business. Okay. So keep that in mind. If you think you could just go and kick it with HR, yada, 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 don't. HR is not your friend. Protect yourself. They're there to protect the company. Okay. Let's keep going on this. So she was handling all these cases, it wasn't a performance issue, right? And which her supervisors had asked her to lead just one day earlier a case. Nor could the explanation possibly be that she mishandled her high-profile cases. She received accolades related to her work. We saw some of those. And on information I believe, among the at least 14 AUSAs who participated in the prosecution of Epstein, Maxwell, Haddon, and Combs, Ms. Comey was the only one who was terminated. okay, this is an interesting point. Maurene Comey is saying here that, like, there might have been some attorneys that she worked with that might have worked those cases across with her. Epstein, Maxwell, Haddon, and Combs. She's the only one that gets let go out of everybody, right? Because some of these attorneys work together. Like in Sean Diddy Combs, they had what, 6 total prosecutors there. They had like 9 defense, 6 prosecutors, and they were taking turns, and we were reading transcripts, and you'd have this and that and the other. So some of the ones that she, was prosecuting, co-prosecuting, they were on some of these cases and they weren't let go. So she's letting us know that this is deep than what is being said. On information and belief, Ms. Comey termination was designed to retaliate against her based on her familial relation as the daughter of James B. Comey, or because of her perceived political affiliations and beliefs, or both. No other plausible explanation exists for her termination, and certainly none was provided. President Trump has publicly criticized Mr. Comey for nearly a decade, beginning with President Trump's disapproval of actions Mr. Comey took when he served as the director of FBI. According to a website that compiles Mr. Trump's posts, that Truth Social and X, President Trump has thus posted far or reposted approximately 259 times about Mr. Comey, including describing him as the worst FBI director in history. And we read this on the New York Times. During this presidential campaign, then candidate Trump called on the FBI to bring criminal charges against Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. After Mr. Comey announced that the FBI would not recommend that the Justice Department bring charges, President-elect Trump reposted that Mr. Comey stood in the way of the investigation and claimed that he was the best thing that ever happened to Hillary Clinton, in that he gave her a free pass for many bad deeds. After he was elected, President Trump criticism of Mr. Comey continued, including for the FBI's investigation into Russia's role in the 2016 presidential election, which President Trump has repeatedly criticized as a hoax and a witch hunt. Y'all, that's a whole different rabbit hole. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. President Trump terminated, in May 9, 2017, President Trump terminated Mr. Comey. In the following years, Trump and Mr. Comey publicly commented and criticized each other. President Trump has continued to refer to the Russia and Hillary Clinton investigation as hoaxes, witch hunts, and rig probes, and claimed that Mr. Comey was a liar and that he and Hillary Clinton, among others, should be jailed. President Trump continues to criticize Mr. Comey, posting about Mr. Comey on Truth Social as recently as August 13th and 14th, 2025. On information and belief, and a repost by the press, while in office during the first term, President Trump told his White House chief of staff that he wanted a number of his perceived political enemies to be investigated by the IRS. On information and belief, and also as reported by the press, in 2019, Mr. Comey was notified that the IRS would audit him. Wow. More recently, in May 2025, Mr. Comey posted on social media on images showing seashells arranged to read 8647. Oh, I remember this. President Trump and others within the Trump administration claimed claimed to interpret the 86 as a slang term for eliminate, and 47 as referencing President Trump as the 47th president, describing it as a call for violence against President Trump. Mr. Comey described the post as a political message, but was not associated with violence, but he deleted the post. Oh my goodness. And I think I've seen this too. I've seen this post. It was like a big uproar and everything, but clearly this is retaliatory because she's the daughter. I don't know what else to say. I don't know. Hold up. Let me. Many rabbit holes, y'all. But girl, I don't know. NJ, thank you so much for the super sticker for the $4.99. Thank you. I mean, maybe it was I don't know, man. I can't get into these political people's heads. I don't know, but was it a former FBI agent is putting a hit on Trump? Damn. If that's true, I don't know, man. I can't get into these guys' heads. Does the word retaliation fit this information? Tell me more, NJ. I just don't know. Like, I don't even. This is a beef. Here's the deal: is that this is a beef between them, but she's literally she got caught up in it because of her dad, and people do villainize her because of her dad. Like, I do see that online, or maybe she's a really bad person and we just don't know it. I don't know it. Maybe I don't know. I'll speak for myself. Okay. So, following Mr. Comey's 2025 social media posts and other critical statements, President Trump supporters, including Laura Loomer, called for the termination of Ms. Comey. Ms. Loomer has met with President Trump in the Oval Office and, upon information believed, has political influence in the Trump administration with respects to the firing of federal employees. Well, Laura Loomer said it publicly. President Trump said, publicly stated, "You don't want to be Loomered. If you're Loomered, you're in deep trouble. That's the end of your career in a sense." Like, this is what Trump said. Why would he say that? I mean, specifically on May 18, 2025, Ms. Loomer, who has over 1.7 million followers on X, called for the firing of Ms. Comey's liberal daughter and Democrat son-in-law, stating the following: Pat Bundy is allowing James Comey's daughter and his son-in-law to work at Trump's DOJ. Did you know that Maurene Comey, the daughter of the former FBI director James Comey, served as an assistant U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, where she heads the Violent and Organized Crime Unit? She has been with the Southern District of New York since 2015 and has prosecuted high-level cases, including those involved in Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell, and currently Sean Diddy Combs. Her husband is Lucas Isaaccroft. I think that's how you say his name. He also works at the current Trump DOJ, despite a long history of being a Trump hater. Damn. Okay. Like, just say it like that. He is the U.S. attorney in the Southern District of New York, following in the civil division since 2019. Their role involves significant responsibilities in the federal prosecutions and civil litigations, respectively, under the Department of Justice, which is currently led by the ever incompetent Attorney General Pam Bondi. Wow, like, that's her opinion. Donald Trump campaigned on draining the swamp and taking a bulldozer to the FBI and DOJ, which has been weaponized against him and his supporters. And now, under Pam Bondi, and James Comey is getting away with putting assassination hits on President Trump. But how do we know that hit came from there? Like, Lord have mercy. Some of the stuff that is like, oh, like, people be saying this is like, all right, I guess social media, whatever. And our tax dollars are paid for salaries of James Comey's and liberal daughter and her Democratic husband. If Bondi was a serious person, she would fire them both for being national security risks via their proximity to criminal who just committed a felony by threatening to assassinate the president. Oh, because they're talking about that seashell situation. Oh my God. Under Bondi, every single deep state operative is being emboldened. James Comey is under investigation by the Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Secret Service. Maurene Comey and Lucas continue to be employed by the DOJ is unacceptable. I question the impartiality of Maurene and Lucas in their prosecutorial roles, especially in high-profile cases, due to the undeniable bias and influence stemming from James Comey's public criticism of Trump and the ongoing investigation into the Instagram post. Both Comey and Lucas need to be fired from the DOJ immediately. Girl. And then these are just social media posts. It follows, if Comey doesn't get arrested and Pam Bondi doesn't fire James Comey's daughter from the DOJ, then you'll know all the talk about accountability from the DOJ is nothing more than Fox News talking points. If we care about the law and order now, it's time for Bondi to prove it. God dang. My goodness. I'm just reading the lawsuit. This is like, wow. So she was, again, these are just exhibits that they're showing from Laura Loomer. Ms. Comey's termination violates the Civil Service Reform Act. So they put in here that it files the Civil Service Reform Act. So neither the president nor the Department of Justice have unlimited authority to remove the assistant United States attorney, specifically the Civil Servant Reform Act of 1978. Okay. which provides guardrails, crucial guardrails that protect these federal employees from arbitrary or unlawful termination. According to the government, may not terminate federal employees like Ms. Comey unless, sorry, I got to open an egg, unless doing so comports with statutorily defined merit principles and does not constitute statutorily defined prohibited personnel practices. And even then, the government may terminate federal employees like Ms. Comey only after following established pre and post procedure removal procedures. Okay, I'm going to keep going and see. So she goes in here, she gets into the OPI statutes for the civil. Again, if you are a civil servant, you have certain things that protect you from this. Unavailability and futility of merit system protection board. That protects you too for any, it's just what Congress has enacted for civil servants, okay, to help protect them. Even though they're an at-will state, it does not matter. There's still protection. I'm not going to read this whole thing here, but I wanted to just get to the information. Let's see. Causes of action. Okay, so they list the cause of action: violation of the United States Constitution, Article 1 and 2, separation of power against all defendants. Second cause of action, violation of Administrative Procedure Act. Third cause, violation of Administration Procedure Act. Okay. And then fourth cause of action, the violation of the First Amendment, freedom of speech and association against all defendants. First cause of action, violation of the Fifth Amendment, procedural due process against all defendants. And then sixth, violation of the Fifth Amendment, property interest against all defendants. Seventh cause of action, violation of the Fifth Amendment, liberty interest against all defendants. Okay. And then the eighth, violation of the Fifth Amendment, reputational harm against all defendants. And 9, declaratory judgment against all defendants. 10th, cause of action, relief in nature of mandatus. And then jury demand. She wants to return to her job. That's what she says she wants to do. And I'm trying to see if we have any. We don't have any exhibits, but they did copy and paste the letter. Yeah, the removal procedures were not followed. They were not followed. Okay. Look, you guys can feel however you want about Comey and the father and the daughter and all this other stuff. You can feel however you want, but they got to do things right, guys, because especially in government, like if it wasn't her performance, what got her removed? They just told her to leave, and she didn't even have a reason why she got let go. She didn't. So what can she assume? Political affiliation or the conflict with her dad? And that's the thing. It's like, why can't we figure that out? Yeah, checks and balances are in place and due process. I mean, like, I'm not saying that she's a great person, and please, like, I don't know her. I don't know the lady. But I do feel like there's something to be said about how we're letting people go like this. So if this is where everybody, I mean, hell, people are getting on firing lists right now. What do I know? What do I know? I mean, due process is going to be something rewritten by other people. At this point, what is due process? What does that even mean? What's the due process? How do you eat that? Because it's being disregarded here. But you guys are entitled to your opinion. This is just my commentary, my thoughts. And like I said, these people can be horrible or whatever it may be. We just don't know. We don't know. You said something is missing. They will not present anything incriminating against the defendants. Just saying, maybe there is something missing. Maybe I'm like missing something here, but it still doesn't make sense. If what she's saying is true, which they'll go to court and they'll figure that out, they skipped some steps, you know? We're reinventing a lot of things now, it seems, in my opinion, but you guys are entitled to your opinion. All right, guys, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm working on editing the Kevin Costner video that I'm doing on this lawsuit. But you guys let me know what's your opinions. You guys are entitled to yours, just like I'm entitled to mine. And if you don't like it, that's okay. But shout out to y'all. I will see you guys later. Hit the like button, please, and thank you. And again, thank you for those that supported today. And Aduko, shout out to you for finding those documents. I appreciate you. Thank you, guys. Bye.